Hello, here is news of this hour from TSTV. I am Olaide Amosu. Here are some major headlines. MAKINDE pays 180 million gratuity to retirees. Lagos Command indicts 2 policemen in connection to Tina's killing. COVID-19 deaths in Lagos now 59. PTF reduces nationwide curfew, orders full operation in financial sector. On the foreign scene, Trump threatens to mobilize military to stop violent U.S. protests. And in sports, I'll make Nigeria African champions again, says ROHR. Now the news in details. The Oyo State government on Monday released the sum of 180 million naira as part of the outstanding gratuity and pension arrears for 2013 retirees from the civil service. The state governor, Engineer MAKINDE, while conducting a symbolic presentation of checks to some of the retirees at the government house at Godi, Ibadan, vowed to ensure that retirees get what they deserve from the government. He stated that those who had served diligently needed all the support they can get from the state. He added that ordinarily, the payment of gratuity to retirees should come immediately after retirement, noting that he was honored to present the symbolic checks to beneficiaries who finished the processing of their retirement papers in 2013. According to a statement signed by the governor's chief press secretary, Mr. Taiwo Adisa, MAKINDE stated that despite the meager resources available to the state, his administration would continue to bring relief to the entire workforce and the state and its senior citizens. The newly transferred Commissioner of Police for Oyo State Command, Nwachukwu Enwonwu, has sent a strong note of warning to all criminal elements in the state to change for good or leave the territory, as the state under his watch will not accommodate or be a haven for them to operate. The new police boss gave his warning today at the state police headquarters in Ibadan, the state capital, while addressing newsmen during the handing over of operation of the command by Shina Olukolu, the outgoing Commissioner of Police. The new boss further promised to protect the fundamental human rights of all residents, warning all officers, including the rank and files, to maintain a high level of discipline in the discharge of their duties. He also pleaded for total cooperation of all officers of the command, just as it was with the outgoing commissioner, so that together they can bring the crime level, which at the present is at a tolerable level, to the barest minimum. No fewer than 59 patients have died of coronavirus-related complications in Lagos State. The Lagos State Ministry of Health made this known on Monday. 188 new cases of COVID-19 infection confirmed cases. Total confirmed cases in Lagos is now 4,959. Earlier, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control in the Situation Report, published on Monday, said 4 patients have died of coronavirus-related complications. It stated that the COVID-19 deaths increased to 59 after 9 new cases were recorded in the state. The Ondo State government says it has recorded 3 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the total number of confirmed infections in the state to 28. The governor, Rotimi Akeredolu, made this known on Monday via his Twitter handle. The tweets read, "Today we recorded 3 new cases and an unprecedented number of deaths from #COVID-19 Nigeria in Ondo State." Although reports have it that 2 patients also died of coronavirus-related complications in the state. The 3rd case is currently at the IDH in Akure undergoing treatment. And residents of Fagwa community in the Ifako Ijaye area of Lagos State have lost their peace over the activities of pipeline vandals in the area. The alleged connivance of security officials had also unsettled many landlords who now fear for their lives. According to reports, last Sunday, some vandals broke into the mechanic village on Providence Avenue and siphoned fuel from the pipeline of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. They were reported to have bound a local vigilante and bundled him into the back of a sports utility vehicle they brought for the operation. The man, who loaded no fewer than 4 tankers of 33,000 litres, was said to have operated without any challenge from the security agencies. At a rate of 125 naira per litre, the pump price fuel was being sold at the time. A 33,000 litre tanker would cost 4,125,000 naira. Therefore, the 4 tanks would therefore cost 16.5 million naira. The Lagos State Police Command said on Monday that investigation into the killing of a teenager, Tina Ezekwe, revealed that the conduct of 2 police officers, Assistant Superintendent of Police Theophilus Otobo and Inspector Oguntoba Olamigoke, fell short of professional standards. The State Commissioner of Police, Hakeem Odumosu, ordered an in-depth investigation into the circumstances surrounding Tina's death. The State Police Public Relations Officer, Bala Elkanah, had stated that 2 police officers suspected to have carried out the shooting were arrested and subjected to internal disciplinary proceedings, adding that if they were found culpable, they would be prosecuted. In a statement on Monday, Elkanah said investigation revealed that the conduct of the police officers fell short of professional standards, adding that Otobo had been queried and would appear before the Force Disciplinary Board in Abuja. He added that Olamigoke was subjected to orderly room trial at the State Command Provost's office. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has deployed investigation aid and forensic support to the Edo State Police Command to complement the ongoing probe of the death of a 100-level student of the University of Benin, Waila Omosua. It had been reported that Waila had gone to study in the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Miracle Sanctuary Mega Parish, Edo Province 10, Boba Hill area of Benin City on May 27, 2020, where she was raped and brutalized by her assailants. The men had reportedly forced their way into the church, raped and smashed Waila's head with a fire extinguisher. It was gathered that the church security guard who just resumed duty found Waila in the pool of her own blood and called for help. While the victim was rushed to the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, Waila did not recover from a state of unconsciousness until she died on Saturday. Some Uniben students and members of the public stormed the headquarters of the State Police Command in Benin to demand justice for Waila. The protesters, who were clad in black attire, staged a walk from the King's Square area of Benin City to the State Police Command headquarters at the GRA. The Deputy Commissioner of Police Operations, Ayola Ajala, who received the protesters, assured them that investigation had commenced and arrests had been made in connection with the murder. The victim's father, Johnson Omozua, called on security agencies to fish out his daughter's killers. Johnson, who spoke with journalists at his number 3 Michael Avenue, Ohover, Quarter, Ikoba Hill, Benin City, said Waila was attacked by hoodlums, adding that she was a member of the RCCG. The IG, in a statement by the Force Public Relations Officer Frank Mba, said the killers of Waila would be brought to justice. The Presidential Task Force (PTF) on COVID-19 has reduced the nationwide curfew from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. The national coordinator of the PTF, Dr. Sani Aliu, announced this on Monday at the daily briefing of the task force in Abuja, the nation's capital. He said effective from today, Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020, the easing of the lockdown will be characterized by the following. The nationwide curfew will remain in place, but the timing of this will be reduced to 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Dr. Aliu echoed that persons who are on essential duty remain exempted from the curfew as the nation moves into the second phase of the gradual easing of the COVID-19 lockdown. He stated that such persons include healthcare and media services providers, as well as those working in the nation's critical sectors. The PTF National Coordinator also announced the reopening of the nation's financial sector, adding that they would be fully operational. He said there will be a full opening of the financial sector, with banks now allowed to operate normal working hours 5 days a week. The mass gathering of 20 people outside of a workplace or places of worship remains prohibited. There will be controlled access to markets and locations of economic activities, but local authorities will continue to provide guidance on opening times, Dr. Aliu added. He explained that the restricted opening of places of worship will be based on the protocols of the respective state governments. According to the PTF National Coordinator, this will be done with strict guidelines on physical distancing and other non-pharmaceutical interventions, and would apply to regular church and mosque services only. And in movement from one state to the other, he said all interstate travels by individuals remain prohibited except for essential travel and the movement of goods and services. The Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, on Monday listed some conditions which are currently being considered before the final reopening of domestic flights following weeks of lockdown. Sirika listed conditions during Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 in Abuja. He said following the directive of the federal government for domestic flights to prepare to resume operations on June 21st, technical and health factors will be considered. Sirika said that on the issue of flight crews and carrier crew, efforts are being made to ensure that they get their license valid again for operations. He noted further that the medical aspect also needs to be considered, as every pilot has a license which must state that he is fit and able to carry out operations. According to the aviation minister, even the airport needs to be prepared to adopt the new way of life, which must reflect social distancing. The minister concluded that although the aviation sector is the worst hit by the COVID-19 lockdown, caution must be taken to ensure reopening in a very orderly and organized manner. Moving on to the foreign scene, the first 2 patients to be diagnosed with COVID-19 in Namibia have been declared by health authorities after 79 days in the hospital, Health Minister Kalumbi Shangere announced on Monday. The couple's recoveries mark the end of the chapter involving the first 16 cases. The response team is excited about this good news, the minister said. The Romanian couple, who became known as case number 1 and number 2, baffled experts for staying too long in hospital after the 35-year-old man and his 25-year-old wife were diagnosed with the disease on March 14th. Studies indicate that the virus that causes COVID-19 can stay in the human body for up to 37 days. Namibia has so far reported 25 confirmed cases with 16 recoveries, 9 active cases but no death. The latest confirmed case was a 32-year-old Namibian woman who returned from Cape Town on May 29th and tested positive while in quarantine. President Donald Trump vowed to order a military crackdown on once-in-a-generation violent protests gripping the United States, saying he was sending thousands of troops onto the streets of the capital and threatening to deploy soldiers to states unable to regain control. The dramatic escalation came a week after the death in Minneapolis of George Floyd, an unarmed black man who was killed when a white police officer knelt on his neck, leading to the worst civil unrest in decades in New York, Los Angeles, and dozens of other American cities. After being criticized for his silence on the worsening crisis, Trump struck a martial tone in a nationwide address on Monday from the White House garden as police fired tear gas on peaceful protesters outside the fence. I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property, Trump said. He slammed the previous night's unrest in Washington as a total disgrace and called on governors to dominate the streets. Still on foreign scene, presumptive Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden blasted President Donald Trump and denounced systemic racism as he sought to reignite his White House campaign after weeks of coronavirus sequestration. Biden, who had met with anti-racism protesters on Sunday, took to Twitter to express his fury at his opponent's response to the protests that have broken out nationwide over the death of George Floyd, an unarmed black man at the hands of a white Minnesota police officer. He's using the American military against the American people, Biden tweeted after the president vowed to order an army crackdown on civil unrest gripping the United States. He tear-gassed peaceful protesters and fired rubber bullets for a photo, Biden wrote, referring to Trump's decision to use law enforcement, including military police, to clear protesters from outside the White House so he could pose for photographs at a riot-damaged church nearby. For our children, for the very soul of our country, we must defeat him, the former vice president said. Biden also announced in a campaign statement he would speak Tuesday morning in Philadelphia on the civil unrest facing communities across America. And in sports, coach Gernot Rohr said he made sacrifices in his new contract with Nigeria in order to guide the country to a fourth Africa Cup of Nations triumph. Rohr, who's 66, has extended his stay in Nigeria till 2022 after he agreed to pay a pay cut in the local currency and reside in the country. Officials said the German-born coach will earn $49,000 a month instead of the $55,000 stipulated in his previous contract, and he will live in Nigeria for at least 10 months a year. This is a special job because this is my team. I built it with my staff, the former Niger and Gabon coach said Monday on local television. Rohr said the target is to be champions of Africa again. The Super Eagles have won the Africa Cup of Nations 3 times, in 1980, in 1994, and finally in 2013. Floyd Mayweather has offered to cover the funeral expenses for George Floyd, the African-American man whose death while in police custody in Minneapolis prompted protests across the United States. The former 5-division world champions promotional company, Mayweather Promotions, confirmed on Twitter he had made the offer, and several local media reports have said the family has accepted. Mayweather also paid for the funerals of Genaro Hernandez, his former opponent, and the legendary Joe Frazier in 2011. Mayweather Promotions and the boxer's agency have yet to respond to requests for comment. The incident has prompted anger across the United States and abroad, with numerous professional athletes and leagues speaking out, including NBA great Michael Jordan and golf's 15 times major champion Tiger Woods. And with that, we've come to the end of the news. A quick recap of the headlines. MAKINDE pays 180 million gratuity to retirees. Lagos Command indicts 2 policemen in connection to Tina's killing. COVID-19 deaths in Lagos now 59. And PTF reduces nationwide curfew orders. Full operation in financial sector. And foreign scene, Trump threatens to mobilize military to stop violent US protests. And in sports, I'll make Nigeria African champions again, says ROHR. And as the world eases out of lockdown, kindly ensure to take all advice and precautions as given by health workers. The news was compiled by Mobola Badikale. I am Olaide Amosi. Good day and thank you for watching.